In the last episode, we heard a new name, Noah. We haven't seen him yet, but judging by how everyone reacted, one thing's for sure, this guy matters. Episode 5 takes things to a whole new level. The mystery just keeps getting deeper, and the people of Winden are finally starting to see that nothing in their town is as it seems. The episode kicks off with scenes from 1986 and 2019 shown side by side, 2 different timelines, but the same stories playing out all over again. In 2019, Charlotte Doppler is desperate for answers about the missing kids, just like Egon Tiedemann was back in 1986. Meanwhile, back in 1986, young Hannah Kruger is completely obsessed with Ulrich Nielsen. She spends her days daydreaming about him and filling a scrapbook with his pictures. Fast forward to the present, and not much has changed. The older Hannah still can't move on. She keeps calling Ulrich again and again. Meanwhile, in 1986, Ines Kahnwald checks in on young Mikkel at the hospital. Decades later, in 2019, her older self quietly takes out an old, worn copy of I Am Not Afraid. It's a small moment, but it says a lot about the memories she's still holding on to. At the same time, back in 1986, Ulrich meets Hannah at a bus stop. Young, restless, and already hiding more than he shows. Jump to 2019, and his older self sits alone in his missing son's room, ignoring Hannah's calls. Back in 2019, Martha tries calling Jonas, but he doesn't answer. He's somewhere else, lost in thought, staring at that strange red thread someone tied to his bike after his trip into the Winden caves. Meanwhile, Bartosz calls Martha, and this time, she's the one ignoring him. The love triangle is starting to show its cracks, and things are only getting messier from here. And then, another tragedy hits Winden. The radio reports that yet another child has gone missing, Yasin Friese. Charlotte breaks this news to Elizabeth and asks if she knows anything. But before she can even finish, Elizabeth bursts into tears. But Charlotte doesn't stop there. She shows Elizabeth the pocket watch and carefully asks about Noah, the mysterious man Elizabeth mentioned before. Elizabeth signs that Noah was tall, wore a hat, and had blue eyes. That's all Charlotte needs to hear. She's now convinced that Noah has something to do with everything that's been happening in Winden. After Charlotte ends her discussion with Elizabeth, Peter scolds Charlotte for her harsh tone, but Charlotte doesn't back down. She asks Peter, where exactly was he the night Mikkel disappeared? Peter repeats the same story. He was at the office, working late until 11 p.m. But Charlotte isn't buying it anymore. She pulls out a printout from the wildlife camera, and there it is, clear as day, Peter's car, his license plate, proof that he wasn't where he said he was. Desperately, Charlotte pleads with him, please, just tell me you're not involved in these disappearances. But instead of calming her fears, Peter calls her insane. Back in 1986, at the hospital, Ines Kahnwald gently hands young Mikkel Nielsen a wrapped present. Mikkel says nothing, just sits there, silent and distant. Ines sits beside him and tells him that when he's ready to talk, she'll listen. She even promises that whatever he tells her, about who his parents are or where he's from, will stay between them. At the Tiedemann home, Bartosz is frustrated. He tries calling Martha one last time, but she doesn't pick up. He glances at Eric's phone when suddenly it rings, an unknown number. He hesitates, then answers. A calm, unsettling voice says, "Hello, Bartosz. My name is Noah." In the meantime, Hannah shows up at the Nielsen house, a dish of food in her hands. When Martha opens the door, Hannah claims she made dinner for them. Moments later, Katerina walks in. Katerina invites her in, and Hannah accepts the invitation. She gently asks about Magnus, Martha, and Ulrich, but Katerina admits she doesn't know where Ulrich is. Then, suddenly, Ulrich enters, bruised, exhausted. The sight of Hannah catches him off guard. Katerina explains that she came to drop off food. Ulrich says he needs to head to the police station, and Hannah quickly offers to ride with him. And as Hannah steps away, Katerina hugs her. But while embracing her, she quietly sniffs Hannah's perfume, her eyes narrowing as she looks at Ulrich. Elsewhere, the stranger asks Regina to deliver a parcel containing a mysterious device and other strange items to Jonas Kahnwald. Meanwhile, Jonas is hanging out with Bartosz. Bartosz confides that he's meeting Eric's supposed dealer that night and asks Jonas to come. Jonas agrees. Later, Ulrich and Hannah sit in his car. Ulrich tells her coldly that it's over. No more calls, no more meetings. Hannah refuses to accept it. She demands that he look her in the eyes and tell her their relationship meant nothing. Ulrich doesn't flinch. He opens the car door and orders her to leave. Back in 1986 at the hospital, a priest from St. Christopher's Church visits Mikkel. His name is Noah. He sits down and asks if Mikkel believes in God. Mikkel shakes his head. He believes in science, evolution, and the Big Bang. Noah calmly asks, "Then what came before the Big Bang?" "Because nothing can come from nothing." Mikkel says his father told him religion was brainwashing, and Noah just smiles faintly. He tells Mikkel that God has a plan for everyone, including him. Meanwhile, Inez meets with a social worker about sending Mikkel to a children's home until his family is found. Inez hesitates. She doesn't want to let him go. Back in 2019, at the police station, Charlotte brings up the 33-year cycle, that everything repeats itself. She says her grandfather was obsessed with it. Meanwhile, Jonas visits his father's grave, lost in thought as the stranger approaches him. He tells Jonas he looks like his father. They talk about life and death, how life is a labyrinth, and some people spend their whole lives searching for a way out, only to go deeper. Before leaving, the stranger tells him to ask himself whether he's made the right choices. Again, we are taken to 1986. At the hospital, where young Hannah spots Mikkel sitting alone, opening his gift. Mikkel picks up a bottle cap and performs a magic trick. "There's no magic," he says. "Only illusion." Then, he tells Hannah that he is from the future. Back in 2019, Bartosz waits on the street. A black car pulls up. Inside sits Noah, the same man from 1986, looking exactly the same. He invites Bartosz to get in. Bartosz hesitates, but eventually does. The car drives off into the dark. At the Nielsen home, Ulrich lies in Mikkel's bed beside Katerina. She quietly asks if he's cheating on her. He denies it. She doesn't believe him. Back in 1986, young Hannah lies to Egon, claiming Ulrich raped Katerina. Egon praises her bravery, then leads a team to arrest Ulrich. Back in 2019, Jonas returns home and finds a package waiting in his room, sent by the stranger. Inside, a glowing orb, a Geiger counter, and a letter marked, "Do not open before November 4th, 10:13 p.m. He opens it anyway. It's his father's last note. As he reads, the truth hits him like lightning. His father, Mikkel Kahnwald, was actually Mikkel Nielsen. The boy who vanished in 2019 grew up in 1986 and became his father. That was the biggest twist of the series so far, and perhaps the smallest one of the whole series. Meanwhile, the stranger walks into a clockmaker's shop. Inside is H.G. Tannhaus, working late. The stranger says quietly, "I need to talk to you about time." And that is it for episode 5. I hope you are liking this series of videos. Until next time, goodbye.